It started with something small. A comment, a favor, a little disrespect you let slide just to keep the peace. It felt far too minor to react to, and that is exactly why they did it. That small thing wasn't an accident or a slip, it was a test. And whatever you did next told them everything they needed to know. Today, we'll go through 6 ways toxic people test your boundaries and how to pass every one of them. Because number 5 is the one most people keep quietly failing without ever noticing it happening. Last time, we covered who you should never explain yourself to. Now we go one step earlier, to the moment before anyone crosses a real line. Toxic people almost never open with the big violation, because the big one would get an instant no. Instead, they open with something tiny, and they watch how you respond, because your reaction sets the price of access to you for everything that comes after it. React early, and the price stays high. Let it slide, and the price quietly drops to nothing. So here is what those small tests actually look like in real life. Number 1 is the small favor that slowly grows. The first ask is almost nothing. Can you grab this for me? Or can you cover my shift just this once? And it's designed to be easy to agree to. A week later, it's covering the shift every Friday. Then it's lending money. Then it's being on call for problems that were never yours. They were never really measuring the favor. They were measuring how easily your yes comes out. There's a quiet psychological reason this works. Once you've said yes a few times, saying no later feels like contradicting yourself. So you keep agreeing just to stay consistent with the person you've already been. Psychologists actually have a name for this: the foot in the door effect. And in a 1966 Stanford study, people who agreed to one tiny request first were more than twice as likely to say yes to a much bigger one later. The pull is real and measurable, and they're using it on you. So understand what's happening underneath it. A yes with no limit isn't generosity, it's an open door with your name written on it. That one arrives wrapped in politeness. The next one hides inside a smile. Number 2, the disrespect disguised as a joke. A little dig, a comment about you, in front of others, and the second you flinch. Relax, it was just a joke. Why are you so sensitive? Now the disrespect is your fault for noticing it. The size is the strategy. Small enough to deny, sharp enough to land. They're testing whether they can hit you and make you apologize for being hit. If you laugh it off to keep things smooth, you just signed the permission slip. A joke at least pretends to be friendly. The next test drops the pretending entirely. Number 3 is the no they pretend not to hear. You say it clearly. Please, don't go through my phone. I'm not lending the car. And they simply do it anyway, not in anger but casually, almost lazily, and then they watch you. This is the cleanest test there is because there's no confusion to hide behind. They heard you perfectly. What they're really checking is whether your no is a solid wall or just a polite suggestion. And people learn fast that an unenforced rule is an optional one. The first no you let them walk through unanswered quietly becomes the rule for every no that follows it. Behavioral psychology is blunt about why this happens. Any action that meets no consequence doesn't just continue, it expands, because the absence of pushback gets read as quiet permission. So remember this: an unenforced no is just a word, and they are checking which one yours is. That test goes after your words. The next one goes after something much harder to defend: your feelings. Number 4, the guilt probe. You set a limit, and instead of arguing, they get wounded. Wow, okay. After everything I've done for you, I guess I just care more. Suddenly, you're not protecting your time. You're apologizing for having a limit at all. This is a test of one thing. Can guilt move you? If it can, they've found the key that opens every door you own. Real people accept a boundary. This type negotiates it with your conscience. Number 5 is the quietest of them all, and it's the one almost everyone fails. Number 5 is the slow grab for your time. It looks like last-minute asks, showing up late without a flicker of concern, expecting instant replies from you, and then vanishing the moment you need something back. None of it is dramatic enough to call out, so you never do. But each one is really the same quiet question. Is your time your own? Or is it mine whenever I decide I want it? Here's the psychology people miss. We protect what is scarce and we waste what is free. So the instant your availability costs them nothing, they stop valuing it entirely. This is the scarcity principle running in reverse. We're wired to value whatever feels limited and to discount whatever feels unlimited. And your constant availability quietly tells them your time is unlimited. Say it plainly to yourself. If your time costs them nothing, that is exactly how carelessly they will spend it. And behind all 5, there's a 6th test running the whole time, and you can't see it. Number 6, the silent watch. This isn't a separate move. It's what they're doing during all the others. They're not really listening to your words, they're watching your reaction. The flinch, the over-explaining, the nervous laugh, the quick apology. Your reaction is the data. It tells them precisely how much they can take and how cheaply. Which means the most powerful thing you own in any test isn't the perfect comeback. It's control over what you show them. So if they're always testing, how do you pass? It comes down to one move. You answer the first test, not the 10th. Early enforcement is cheap. Late confrontation is brutal. And you don't do it with a speech. We covered last time why explaining only weakens you. You name it once, flat and calm. Don't speak to me like that. That doesn't work for me. I said no. Then you stop talking and let the silence sit. You're not starting a fight. You're answering the question they asked. Clearly, the first time. A boundary you defend while it's small is a boundary almost no one tests twice. Most people think respect comes from being liked. It doesn't. It comes from being clear. The people who treat you well aren't the ones who understand your boundaries. They're the ones who believe your boundaries are real. And that belief is built in the small moments, the first time, when it would have been easier to let it slide. A boundary they can test is a boundary they will move. So make the first test the last one. That's Law 58, the rule no one taught you. If this opened your eyes, the last video, the 6 people you should never explain yourself to, is how you hold these lines without saying a word. Watch that next. And subscribe because next time we break down the strangest one of all, why manipulators back off the moment you stop reacting.